Hello again, everyone. Miss Jean here. So where are you listening to Discovery Mountain from? Are you streaming from your favorite podcast platform? Well, this is a mini adventure, and so I know that you aren't listening on the radio. We only air the full episodes on the radio. So I think that you're most likely listening right from our website, discoverymountain.com. Or if you're a mountaineer, you're listening in the club ad-free. Well, if you are at discoverymountain.com, did you know that there's more to do than listen? You can see caricatures of your favorite characters and send us a message. And you can read short stories about Discovery Mountain. There are some good ones in there. Are you surprised? I thought you might be. You might be wondering what kind of stories they are. Well, let's read one together right off of the website. This story is called Don't Forget. Let's begin. Yumi, Piper called out to her friend, "You forgot this." Piper lifted the colorful garment off of the grass and held it out to her friend. Yumi took the bright orange scarf from Piper. "I keep dropping this," she said with a scowl. Yumi shook the scarf and dry leaves fluttered off of it and back onto the grass. Yumi wrapped the scarf back around her neck and smiled at her friend Piper. "Hugo and Logan are playing Foursquare," Yumi said. "Come on, let's join them." Piper crossed her arms and dug her heels into the grass. She watched Yumi's back as she ran off, wondering how long it would take before she noticed that she wasn't following. Yumi turned around and then stopped. "Come on," she hollered back at her friend. Piper shook her head and stood still as a statue. Yumi shrugged and ran back to her. "Piper, what's going on?" she asked, frustrated. "You forgot something," Piper said. Yumi scratched her head. "No," she puzzled. "You found my scarf for me." "That's it," Piper said with a pout. "I found your scarf, and you forgot to say thank you." "Did I?" Yumi asked, her nose scrunching up as she thought. "I felt thankful. Didn't I say that?" "Nope," Piper said, shaking her head. "I'm sorry, Piper. I sometimes forget to say what I'm thinking. But it's not that big a deal. Come on, or the game will be over." Oh, Piper stood firm. "It is a big deal, Yumi," she said. "I'm your best friend, and I'm not mad, but it's rude to not say thank you." "Rude? I don't know about that," Yumi protested. "Yumi," Piper said, flopping her arms at her side in exasperation. "It's important. Even Jesus took time to be thankful." "Really now, Piper," Yumi said, "you're making this way too big a thing." "Yumi," Piper continued, "I'm not. Think about how busy Jesus was. His ministry on earth only lasted a few years, and he had a pretty big job. Actually, the biggest job ever." "Do you mean to save all of us?" Yumi asked. "Yeah," Piper agreed. "And still Jesus was thankful. You remember when he fed the 5,000 people with some bread and fishes, right?" "Yeah," Yumi said. "Of course. I listen in Chaplain Jake's Bible class." "Well, then, do you remember that he gave thanks for the food?" Piper asked. "Oh, I sort of forgot that part, I guess," Yumi said quietly. "And then at the Last Supper, Jesus took time to thank God for the food and the drink," Piper said. "At the Last Supper? That was at the very end of his life," Yumi said thoughtfully. "He didn't have very much time left before he was arrested." "Exactly," said Piper, "but he took time to be thankful." Yumi ran her hand over her orange scarf. She felt the smooth fabric under her hand and against her neck. "I love this scarf," she said to Piper. "It keeps me warm and cozy on these fall days when the wind is cool." Piper nodded, still waiting for the rest of what she thought Yumi should say. "Thank you, Piper," Yumi said. "Thank you for finding my scarf for me." Piper stared at Yumi without blinking. Yumi braced herself for another speech. Instead, Piper grinned and grabbed her arm. "You're welcome," she said. "Now let's go play some Foursquare." Well, what do you think? Did you enjoy that story? You can read it for yourself anytime you like at discoverymountain.com/stories. Yumi and Piper exercised their faith, and I think that it made their friendship stronger. I hope that you enjoy more of the stories and that you write and tell us which are your favorites. I'm Miss Jean, and you've been listening to a mini adventure in Discovery Mountain, where the air is clear enough to hear your imagination, and where every day is an exercise in faith. Discovery Mountain is a production of The Voice of Prophecy.